Great. So let's get into the conversations. Joseph Boahen Aidoo, who is the CEO of the Ghana COCOBOD, is our guest this morning here on the Super Morning Show. And we're having a conversation about a product that many of you know. A product that in every year we'll have a conversation about it, because we'll look forward to the loan for its purchase, what we've termed Cocoa Syndicated Loan. It's actually become a tool for helping the Ghana city. But of course, for some of you, you're not even spared in the domestic debt exchange because your cocoa bills also affected. And you may even have concerns about that. But today, let's focus on the plants. Let's focus on that product. Honorable Boahen Aidoo, how's COCOBOD doing? It's been 7 years as CEO. What would you say have been your significant achievements, major milestones that you've achieved at COCOBOD?
Thank you very much. We've achieved a lot, but I must say that our greatest achievement has been with the rehabilitation of the cocoa soaring shoot virus disease farms. It was a fundamental structural problem, decimating almost the entire cocoa landscape. Once upon a time, Brazil is the second leading producer of cocoa. But Brazil was hit by what is called the witch broom and lost everything, making Brazil to become an importer of cocoa. That was what was happening to the cocoa industry in Ghana. When we assumed office in 2017, we realized that the disease had taken almost about 17% of the productive cocoa area, largely in the western north, the northern part of the western region, that the Sefwi area. In total, the Sefwi area has over 300,000 hectares of cocoa area, and more than 200,000, that's 2/3, had been affected by the disease. This disease had no cure. There's no chemical remedy to it. And research since 1936 to date had proven that there's no remedy. It's a virus.
Okay.
So the only solution is to cut the trees and then replant. And when we came in, we felt there was a need to do that, because left to the farmers alone, no farmer in Ghana on his own or her own could do that. So we have to intervene with state support. And I must say that the results have been very significant, and is our greatest achievement to save the industry, at least to give hope to the Ghanaian cocoa farmer, and also to tell the world that we have some kind of solution to the problem. Okay. So it's our greatest achievement.
Any other achievement that you would talk about?
Yeah, we even before then,
yes,
we know that the cutting out method is not a new method. We've always used it, isn't it so?
Yes. The cutting method is not new, but the point is that farmers could not do it. You remember in the previous administration, before we came, on yearly basis, the president will go to Parliament and announce that, the NDC time, to announce that COCOBOD was generating 60 million seedlings. Ask yourself, the 60 million seedlings were meant for rehabilitation, but they never materialized, in the sense that farmers were collecting them and then planting them under the diseased trees, diseased farms. And the disease is a virus, so it's very contagious. So once you transplant the seedlings under disease farms, the seedlings, that the new plants are also affected. So when we came and we went around, we saw so many farms that were under CSSVD with young plants under them, also diseased. And farmers were maintaining these farms, getting nothing. And a lot of farmers too, once the disease strikes, it traumatizes the farmer, because it is the farmer's 10-year, 15-year life investment. You see, we need to discuss this matter deeply. The point is that a farmer, ordinary, even if he has a wife, the couple will be doing about a pole. A pole is 40 ounce pan. 40 ounce pan, square. You'll be doing a pole at a time. And that pole, which is greater than acre, but less than a hectare, he cultivates that the first year, the second year, another pole, so he has 2 poles. Now, the third year, the farmer will not, enter into a new cultivation. He wants to consolidate the first 2, cultivation areas of cultivation. And the 4th year, maybe the 5th year, then he cultivates another pole. So in 5 years, you would have just done about maybe 2 poles. If you give the farmer who has 10 poles, which is, let's say, even if it's 10 acres, he might have spent about 15 years. Now, when the disease strikes, you do not have that luxury of time and space to be doing, pole by pole. You have to cut everything. If you have 10 poles, if you have 10 acres, if you have 10 hectares, you have to cut all the 10 acres and then cultivate everything 1 year, within just 1 year. Well, if you want to go by the pole sequence, once you cut the first pole or hectarage, the remaining area which had not been treated, the disease is there, the virus is there. So the area that you've treated will be reinfested by just the movement of the disease to the new cultivation. So if you want to clear everything, it means the entire area of your farm, if it's 20, 30 acres, you have to cut everything within 1 year. Imagine cutting 30 acres, 20 acres, even if it's 10 acres, not just the cutting and treatment, but the investment, the planting materials. You need plantain to give it the shade for all the cocoa to grow. You need the economic trees, the timber trees that you have to interplant and all that. So, and then the labor cost. So your 10-year, your 15-year labor cost had to be applied within 1 year. Your planting material for, let's say, 10 years will have to be applied within 1 year. And no farmer can do that. And that is what actually constrained the entire process. The other aspect had to do with land tenure. If you were a tenant farmer, and most of these cocoa farmers are tenant farmers, they've migrated, to acquire land from landowners, and their rights to the land, the security of tenure, is tied to the cocoa tree being live, the roots being there. Once they cut the trees, it means they forfeited their rights to the land. And that was also a challenge. So we looked at all these, a lot of thinking went into it. And then we realized that if you leave it to the farmers alone and supply them just with seedlings, no farmer can do that. And thanks to our president, he actually supported us to go to the AFDB. We secured funding. And then that's what actually enabled us to do the rehab. So in the rehabilitation, COCOBOD takes up every cost investment. The cutting, the treatment, the material for the planting. I'm saying that your 10-year life investment, you have to apply it 1 year. So the cutting, the planting materials, we provide the plantain suckers, and then the cocoa seedlings, and then the timber or the economic trees. Everything is done by COCOBOD, and then the planting and maintenance done by COCOBOD. We hire for all these to be done free of charge for the farmers.
Okay.
And we also do compensation, because in the first 6-8 months, the farmer, we are cutting everything. So even if he was getting something which was not significant, however insignificant that was, he was making an earning. Once you cut all the trees, it means he's deprived of every earning. And for that reason, you were given compensation. So it's this compensatory, rehabilitation program that has enabled us to bring to life, rejuvenate a lot of these disease farms, giving us hope.
Talking about giving us hope, the evidence today may not support the hope that you talk about. Today, even the Bank of Ghana says losses within cocoa production is a major factor to the challenges that we're going through. I just want you to tell us, what you believe were the primary contributing factors to, the losses you've recorded in years such as 2012, 2013, 2017, 2018, and the ones we're experiencing currently.
Well, 2012, 2020.
You are not there, yes.
Yeah, but I want to talk about 2017 coming.
Yeah.
When we assumed office in 2017, the price of cocoa has collapsed at the international market. If you check, and anybody at all can check, around June 2016, price of cocoa was over $3,000 per ton. I mean the international market. And the farmer was being given 7,600 Ghana cedis per ton. That's what the producer price. The producer price, the farmer's price in Ghana is greatly, influenced by the terminal market price at the international level. Now, 2017 January, price had collapsed by 30%. Price of cocoa at the international market was around $2,080. In 2018, price of cocoa on the average was $1,850 per ton. And with that, you have to decide, because you've come to meet a price that was determined. The producer price was actually announced in October 2016, before the elections. And at that time, price of cocoa, had already, at the international market, had already given a certain average price to determine the producer price. And just as I explained, price of cocoa was around $3,000 at the international market. The farmer was given $7,600. Then we came, the price at the international market had declined, plummeted by 30%.
But you always engage, in future trading.
So, I will explain that.
Yes, so how did that affect you? Yes, go ahead.
30%. So now, with that price, you have to decide, one, whether you should reduce the farmer's price, or, you maintain the farmer's price. If you are maintaining the farm, then COCOBOD financial health will be okay. But the moment, if you maintain the producer price, it means that the farmers will be okay. And then COCOBOD then will have to look for money to show up, that is, make the difference, bridge the gap. Or you reduce the farmer's price. And torn between the two devils, we decided then to maintain the farmer's price and look for money to, show up the producer price.
So you decided to make a loss?
Yes, because, you see, we were torn between the national interest. Man, cocoa is the backbone of the economy. For the longest while, ever since cocoa came to this country, it's been the backbone. I'm now even adding that is the oxygen. The source of oxygen of the economy.
Yes, but let's go back to something.
I'm coming.
Yes, because, 1 minute.
Yes.
Just understand this. Because I know that the cocoa you're selling this year, you had already signed the agreements.
Yes.
So how come that in 2017, agreements that had been signed before,
yes,
if the price plummeted, how did that affect you when you had already reached agreements?
It did. Number one, when we came in 2017, the previous administration secured $1.8 billion.
Okay.
Syndicated $1.8 billion. By January 2017, all the $1.8 billion had been spent before I went to office. It's on record. You can check.
Spent in what? Spent on what?
Buying cocoa and then into other costs.
So we bought the cocoa.
They bought cocoa around 600,000 metric tons already. And cocoa, the season opened in October. The peak harvest destination is October, November, December, January. So within the first quarter of the season, that from October to December 2016, the previous administration had bought over 600,000 metric tons. And then we came in. When we came in, there was no money. It's a fact. It's on record. The figures are there. You can go and check. There was no money. Meanwhile, we had to buy cocoa to the end of the season. So we were forced to go to the Bank of Ghana to borrow. That was the starting point. So we borrowed. We did borrow. And within that period, we bought over 300,000 metric tons. That's how come that year. That's 2016, 2017. The 2016 is the NDC period from October to December.
Yes.
The 2017 is the MPP period from January to September. So January to September, we bought over 600,000 metric tons. And we had to pay the farmer. We had to pay for haulage. The buyer's margin, operational costs. So we went to Bank of Ghana and borrowed. And that's how the cocoa bills started. Yes. So we had to borrow.
Yeah, before you continue with the cocoa bills, did you find out what the $1.8 billion was used for?
They have been used. I say
all
they
used
bought
in purchasing
cocoa. Yes, cocoa
so
and
all of it
and everything
was used in purchasing cocoa.
This is not the first time.
No,
when we
let's make the
came,
point.
I made a press thing about it. I made a press statement about it that the money had been spent. We had no money.
Yes, I remember
This
that.
no 1.8 billion spent. The record. These are issues, matters of record.
Sure.
Yes. So you can go and check.
But when you break it down, did they include all the associated costs like haulage and the other things that mostly comes with buying cocoa?
Yes. Once you are buying cocoa,
yes,
multiply the figure 7,600 this thing by over 600,000. You see the amount that was involved. Yeah. So when I say that they have spent it, yes,
yeah,
they've spent
the
it.
Other point
the money
be,
was
yes,
not there.
Yes, but the other point would be that,
I'm
so
coming.
For instance...
Let me land. Now, they had also, set in motion. They've set in motion the procurement of fertilizers and then chemicals, that the inputs, the tools of trade, they've set in motion. But they had not completed the procurement process until we came in. So we came and completed a procurement process, and we bought the fertilizers. The fertilizers that we bought, we said had to be subsidized for the farmers, for them to pay. And all those fertilizers, we had to pay. All the chemicals that were brought in, we paid. And we had to borrow. So immediately we borrowed over $2 billion Ghana cedis. And the Bank of Ghana only served as the intermediary for the commercial banks. We borrowed. That's how cocoa bills at our time started. And cocoa bills is not a new thing. In 2010, 2011, cocoa bills were issued for Ghana COCOBOD. 2010, 2011, the administration then went for cocoa bills. Okay. 2012, 2013, up to 2013.
So
and we came and inherited that, all those cocoa bills. So cocoa bills is nothing new to, the administration of COCOBOD.
Okay, so pardon me, but let me just take you back and do something. You've talked about the fact there was no money, but this is the point for me. At the time we went for the $1.8 billion syndicated loan,
Yes.
how many metric tons did we anticipate or did we budget that we're going to buy with that money? How many did we buy at the time? How much of the money was used in buying those metric tons? How much of the money was used in, say, fertilizer subsidy? How much of the money was used in, say, haulaging of the products? Just so we get an understanding about it.
If you want to get those details, then you may have to give me time and space to provide all that for you. But the point is that, just as I said, by January, 2017, what I came to meet, the $1.8 billion, not CD, had been spent.
Okay.
Yes, and they bought cocoa. They've used it for cocoa and other. Man, there were other operations, because if you take even cocoa roast, for example, they committed, I think, around, is it one? Yeah.
How much?
Roughly about, is it, I have to get the figures.
Okay, hold on a minute on that one. I mean,
yeah. I'll get you the figures.
We'll go for a short break. So,
yes.
We'll come back and talk about all of these things.
I'll get you the figures, because I think 150 million USD, yes.
Okay. 150
million USD converted to cedis that time was about 1.8 billion. 1.8 billion, yes. 1.8 billion. That's what they had spent.
Okay. You know, but yes, you have your figures
now. I have my
okay,
figures,
please go ahead.
I wasn't, far from the figures.
Okay.
In 2016-17, the net administration went for 1.8 billion USD, and just as I said, by 15th of December 2016, they had already spent 1.4 billion out of that. And then the remaining amount, the $400 million remaining, was spent between 15th of December and 31st of December 2016. That is very significant because at that point, we were transitioning into a new administration. So January 2017, all the 1.8 billion had been spent. And in 2016-2017, from October 2016 to September 2017, the total amount of cocoa, the quantum of cocoa that COCOBOD bought, was 967,245 tons. And before we came in, that January, the previous administration had bought 611,763. I mentioned they bought around 600,000 metric tons. So 611,763. And then from January to September, we bought 355,482,000 metric tons. Now, at 7,600 Ghana cedis, that translates, when you multiply, that translates to 2.7 billion.
Okay.
So immediately we needed that money. That's just for purchasing cocoa from farmers.
So in effect, the syndicated loan could not purchase cocoa throughout the period.
In totality. And it doesn't even happen so every year. You go for the syndication by, you draw the first tranche, maybe second, third tranche by December. You might have spent everything, depending upon the crop size. And I must say that time, the crop size by December was appreciable, because once you do 600,000, it was appreciable.
Okay.
And so they have spent the money on that. And then cocoa roast, I've checked the cocoa roast, 150 million USD. So altogether, purchases and other operational costs and cocoa roast together, the 1.8 billion was gone. And we have to then look for money to continue purchasing cocoa. And that's what drove us to first take first 1.04 billion and then another 1.128 billion. So in total, we borrowed 2.23 billion. That's cocoa bills at an interest rate around 22%.
Okay.
So that's how the whole cocoa bills thing started.
Okay.
And then the following year, it wasn't because there wasn't any money, but the following year, we were doing forward sales and price had plummeted by 30%, and the producer price was still 7,600 Ghana cedis. Therefore, we had to decide whether to reduce the farmer's price, because if you put operational costs together, the buyer's margin, the haulage margin, and other costs together, you need about $800 for every ton. And once cocoa price was $1,800, and the farmer was being paid around $1,700. If you take $800 out of that, and the $800, that one is more or less like a fixed cost, because you definitely have to pay the person who is going to purchase the buyer. You have to haul the cocoa. These are costs. You have to get fertilizers in, chemicals for farmers to spray, and so on and so forth. And when you put all that together, it comes around $800. So if price of cocoa is around $1,800, the moment you take out the operational costs, what is left cannot support the industry. So we then have to decide whether to, reduce the farmer's price or continue to borrow. So we went in again to borrow another 3 billion.
I want to understand the business sense in this. You actually budgeted this. That, okay, this is how much we're going to get. We've sold it. Then, in the course of it, the prices come down. But then you still decide to pay monies that result in a loss.
It was a very prudent decision. It's a national prudent, I think it's the most prudent decision that we took, because you are torn between the national interests and as against the industry interest, COCOBOD's interest. As again, the national interests here mean the cocoa industry itself. Because the only thing you can do is to go and reduce the farmer's price. At a time when illegal mining was about to explode. At a time when farmers were cutting cocoa in Brong-Ahafo region to cultivate cashew. In eastern region, farmers were cutting cocoa to cultivate rubber. Eastern region soils are not all that, they can support rubber, but because of the rainfall, rubber needs environment that, have frequent, continuous rainfall, like your place, the Hunter area and all those. That's the ideal place for rubber. Yeah. But farmers were cutting cocoa in eastern, which has the best soils in Ghana. pH levels are very high there for cocoa, ideal for cocoa, and yet farmers were converting, cocoa farms to, and then you come and take a decision that you are going to reduce the farmer's price. Put yourself in my shoe at that time. What would you have done? Would you have reduced the farmer's price, or would you have borrowed to make sure that the industry survived? Today, the industry has survived, and now prices are up.
But is COCOBOD healthy?
COCOBOD today is healthy.
Today is healthy.
We posted.
I haven't.
You posted. Yeah, you are going to hear it.
I haven't seen your accounts. I'm on your website.
The latest. No, it's coming. The 20.
I haven't seen it.
22, 23. No.
So let me make reference to 2021. I haven't seen your 2021 account.
But that's the. So you are asking. You should look for the latest.
You give me the latest. But first, I'll give you what I have.
Yes.
What I have you made a loss of 2 billion.
Yeah, that one is it was.
What profit did you make in 2023?
Over 2 billion.
Over 2 billion Ghana cedis in profit.
Yes.
Please share that document with me if you have it here. I want to.
No,
see
it's at the management level. It's going to the board. Once it passes through the board, it will be published and everybody will know.
Okay.
You've turned around.
You've turned it around.
Yes.
But that's something. You engage in the future market.
Hold
on a minute.
You see,
I want to understand something.
Let me avail your mind to this. 2020. We all know what happened in the world.
Yes.
COVID threw everything out of gear. You cannot even ship. You cannot ship because the people are not there for you to ship. You cannot trade. The whole industry was turned upside down. Pretty soon you've forgotten all this.
We have not forgotten, but let me take your mind back to something. I mean, the forward market that you talk about. So you engage in these sales.
Yes.
You say, for instance, in 2024, you are selling a next season harvest already.
Yes.
You're engaging in agreements.
Yes.
We're told you're pricing it at $7,000 thereabout. Right? Am I right?
No.
How much are you pricing it?
Because of the trading and then the sensitivity of it, I don't have to disclose this.
Well, that's your trade secret. Yeah. Let's leave it at that. But
I will explain. The point is that
yes, but first my question. So if you go into forward agreements,
yes,
you know how much you're expecting.
Exactly.
How then is the case that knowing how much you expect, when you begin selling, you come back and tell me the price has gone down?
No, the point is that right from 2017, price has collapsed.
Yes, but you knew
and
before
then,
because you signed these agreements and you agreed on your purchasing price based on the agreements you have signed. So how do you come back to me and say the price has gone down when that's something you know and have budgeted for already?
The whole thing is that your budget is dependent on the revenue you receive, and the revenue here has to do with your crop. And then the price that you obtain at the international market,
which
of course
most of the time is a future thing.
The futures.
You've already sold
we
it.
Do
yes.
futures.
Yes, you do futures. So you know the price you're going to get.
Yes, and I'm telling you that at that stage, the price had collapsed by 30%. It has collapsed already.
Yeah, but when the price collapsed, did you not know in advance because you had agreed on the sale already?
We knew.
So why didn't you?
We knew, but I've already told you that we were torn between taking a decision that bordered on the national interests. The cocoa. I mean, when I say the national, I mean the cocoa sector as against COCOBOD as an industry interest. And between the two, you can ask any politician that comes here, between the two, what would that person have chosen? And I'm at COCOBOD essentially because of the national interest, essentially because of the farmers. Because if we had reduced the farmers' price today, there wouldn't have been a single cocoa tree in Ghana. Farmers would have disposed of all their cocoa farms to illegal miners. Others would have cut their cocoa farms into cashew, into rubber.
But they are still doing it. It's not as if they stopped.
Yeah,
it's still happening.
It's still happening, all because I cannot say that the whole thing is perfect. I will not say that the whole thing is perfect. But the most important thing is that decision saved the industry. That decision saved the industry.
You're complaining now. Now let's get back to Tom. You're complaining now. Fifi Boahen was here. The last time we spoke to him last year, he indicated how Galamsey, for instance, has even hit the production of cocoa.
Yes.
Farmers are still selling their lands. Farmers are still cultivating cashew.
Yeah.
Farmers are still doing rubber.
Farmers are still not. Maybe check the record. Go to Techiman and see. Farmers are now planting cocoa under cashew. Farmers today are planting cocoa under cashew.
Where I went in Techiman and Nkranza and I didn't see them. But maybe next time I go. Maybe next time I go, I'll check.
Go and check.
I'm just coming from. He knows I'm just coming from Techiman. I didn't see it.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I'm just
Well, it
coming.
depends on where you went.
Yeah, but so that's what I'm telling you. I didn't see it. I'm just coming from teaching. I returned from teaching last week.
Do you have
Farmers again?
So do you have figures to back it in terms of acreage or cultivation within the period, so that we will know whether or not there is still some it's going up or coming down, and those figures would
now if
rather than pick areas where you might see from different perspectives.
No, you see, the interest in cocoa now has heightened because now everybody knows that price of cocoa at the international market has gone up. And when price at the international market is gone up, suddenly is going to reflect in the producer price. And that is what actually incentivizes the farmer to keep on holding his land. I tell you, farmers, recently you heard it from the Nzima area, farmers are risen against galamsey. They've risen. Why? Because they can see future in it. Now, the rehab that we did, so far we've done over 68,000 hectares, and we are going to hand over 40,000 hectares of farms that are fruiting, rejuvenated and are fruiting. And that's what gives, you mentioned hope, that's what gives us hope.
Okay. Now, but I mean, the things you've talked about, some of the things you've talked about, farmers doing this, farmers doing that, you're giving us, the qualitative things that are being done. But the question Raymond is asking,
the quantitative.
Is the quantitative. So let's see, for instance, if you say things have changed, what are the numbers to show things have changed? We can all tell these stories, but at the end of the day, what really convinces anybody are the numbers. So what are the numbers? What are the increases in acreage cultivation over the period, for instance, so we can look at this and then say, this is what has happened?
Well, you see, cocoa farm is not all about hectarage. It's not all about hectarage. It's about the investment that you put in, the intervention that you inject into the industry. Currently, what we are doing is what you call the productivity enhancement program. We have introduced to the farmers what you call vertical productivity. You don't have to have 100, acres to be able to produce 200 bags. You can have just 10 acres and still produce 200 bags. So we came in and then we introduced the pruning. Before, the pruning was not done in the country. We introduced hand pollination. That's artificial pollination. And artificial pollination, previously, whereas farmers were seeing 10 pods, 20 pods per tree, 30 pods per tree, now farmers can see 100 pods, 150 pods, 200 pods. So it is not about the expanse of land. That's the size of the land. It is about what you put in, and we've really put in a lot for the farmers.
Well, I mean, the question
in terms
was
of
really
ideas and technology.
The question was really in relation to people are now planting cocoa under their cash. I wanted to know, for instance, how much of land has been cultivated in that perspective. So that was where the question was coming from. If you know, for instance, because you're saying today they're not cutting down their trees, they're planting cocoa.
Because you also mentioned that farmers have gone into other things that
you attest to.
Yes. And then I told you that now farmers are going back to cocoa.
That's
farmers are going back.
You know the figures.
You will do the statistics and then you see.
You share it with us. But I mean, talking about profits, the Bank of Ghana has indicated losses in cocoa this year. At the end of first quarter, the loss was estimated at $233 million. How's the year treating you?
Which loss?
Losses in cocoa. So, I mean, the Ghana Statistical Service, the graphic business actually published this. That was on the 11th of June, just yesterday.
Yes.
that Ghana losing big from cocoa exports.
Yes, that is true.
233 billion.
Yeah, because production has gone down. Mm-hmm. Production has gone down and by a number of factors.
Okay.
First, you have the structural problems. Climate change, of course, is number one. And then I've also mentioned the CSSVD, which is a major problem. Because even if you are rehabilitating, once you cut any, number of trees, you are reducing production. And then, of course, we've discussed here illegal mining. Mm-hmm. Then, of late, smuggling is also another factor. All these are affecting. Okay. But what has really affected our production significantly this year, yes, our production is down this year, very, very down, can be attributed to what we call a Nino effect.
Which is?
El Nino. El Nino is extreme weather condition. I mentioned it somewhere, and then somebody reported me that I said El Nino disease. El Nino is not a disease. Yes. It's a weather phenomenon. It's extreme heat waves generated in the Pacific Ocean, and depending upon where it is blowing. If it is, moving across dry areas, it will bring dryness. If it is moving across, water bodies, it will bring wetness. And last year, unfortunately for us, whereas the Mediterranean, Spain and other places, we had a lot of wildfires, we were experiencing excessive rainfall. Excessive. And cocoa doesn't lack too much water. When there is too much rain and the soil is waterlogged, the root hairs cannot, extract nutrients.
Okay.
So we lost almost every flower last year. It's only by His grace that we've been able to see even some crop now.
Boahen Aidoo, before we went for the break, we're talking about the El Nino effect.
Yes.
We've talked about galamsey and other factors. And just so we have a better understanding of all of this, what percentage would you say El Nino effect contributed to the losses we're experiencing? What percentage has been the contribution of galamsey and the other factors?
I will say that El Nino will take about 99%.
99%?
I'm telling you. 99%. And is a natural phenomenon. It's something beyond human control. When you are having excessive rainfall, you cannot control it. It's just like having, 1983. I don't know if you
continue.
Yes,
we were surviving.
The bushfires that came. Yes. It was also brought by El Nino. So when you have wildfires burning cocoa farms, that's how come we lost our first position. That one, you can't do anything. It's beyond human control. It comes. It's cyclical. Almost 8-10 years it comes. And last year, it started with excessive rainfall and ended with excessive heat. So if you are taking note from November, December, January coming, temperatures are around 40, 41 degrees during the daytime. Yeah, that's the effect of it. And just as I said, cocoa doesn't like extremes of weather conditions. And so I'll give about 99% because all the flowers dropped. And once the flowers drop, you cannot go and tell it's not like maybe producing mobile phones or vehicles or, SI books, no, whereby you can regulate the production. We are talking about a biological crop, cocoa, and once it's affected by this natural phenomenon, there's nothing you can do about it. So that's it. And it's really affected our production this year. Yeah, we are going to have one of the least production in recent times. I have to say that. Yes, but of course, it's also one thing which has affected the international market price. And did not affect only Ghana. It's it was a global phenomenon. So all cocoa producing countries have been affected.
And talking about cocoa producing countries being affected, you've recently increased in April cocoa prices.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you sold your cocoa last year, in effect.
Yes.
So on course to making losses again?
Not exactly so. Not exactly so. I should say this because we do forward sales. Now let me take this opportunity to explain the forward and then the spot listing. Ordinary, the seller, that the producer and the buyer will prefer the forward sales. Why am I saying this? Let's take it that you, Wilson, you are based in Europe, you buy cocoa. And then I'm here in Ghana, I produce cocoa and sell, maybe through CMC, Cocoa Marketing Company. At the terminal, at the international market, when you buy the cocoa, you are not going to use the cocoa beans immediately, because all the chocolate manufacturing company, they plan ahead of time, sometimes 6 months, 1 year, sometimes even 2 years. He will not wait until, let's say today, June, whatever, and then decide, oh, I'm now going to the market to go and buy cocoa to come and then grind. No. They always have to plan and buy ahead of time. Now, when you buy cocoa at the terminal, let's say today, and we are going to use it in 6 months' time, you have two options. Either you pay and take the cocoa away. And if you are buying, let's say you live in Belgium or somewhere in Europe. If you are buying to take the cocoa away on spot price, the warehouse cost, or if you are sending to Europe, the warehouse cost there is higher. It's more expensive than maybe keeping the cocoa here. Number two, insurance costs, very high. And then you have to keep the cocoa. Cocoa is a biological, tropical product. You have to keep, the cocoa at a certain condition that it will not lose its quality. So when you, the buyer, considers all such factors, the risk, what you would do then is that you expose the risk to the seller, the producer, and pay for that. So in all times, the future price had been higher than the spot. Because of the risk exposure. You've exposed your risk to me, the producer, and therefore you should pay me more for that. And you also prefer it that way, because if you are to take the cocoa to Europe, you spend more. So at all times, that had been the situation. And Ghana Cocoa Board, all over the years, had been selling forward, so that the cocoa is bought today, but it should be delivered in a future time. And that's what we call the forward sales, which have been always better. Only to be inverted. This situation was inverted last year, all because of El Nino. El Nino affected global production. And, the market anticipated that the El Nino was coming, and because of that, we were going to have shortage of cocoa. And at that point, buyers were prepared to pay, on the spot for cocoa. And it did come that, yes, the trees, the crop had been affected globally. Buyers come to the market, they are prepared to pay for more, but the cocoa is not there. And this is what is driving prices up. So on daily basis, they come to the market, the buyer is prepared, because the risk exposure is no more with the farmer or the producer. The risk exposure, he's prepared to pay anything, but the cocoa is not there. So today, he comes to the market, cocoa price is $3,000. He does not get any cocoa. Tomorrow he comes, he's prepared to pay $5,000. No cocoa. Then the next day he comes, he's prepared to pay $10,000. No cocoa. And that's what is happening in the market. It doesn't necessarily mean that, Ghana is getting $10,000. That is not the point. I've heard many people say, because the spot price, the international market price is now $10,000, it means that the COCOBOD is receiving $10,000 from the market, and so the farmers should be be paid so much. No, it's not like that. Good. So if you've gotten these principles, that the basic explanation about spot and then the futures, then you realize that the farmer in Ghana cannot be paid based on the new the price prevailing at the international market. Yes. Now we sold the cocoa 18 months. I've already explained that once in normal times the distance is better, the future is better than the spot. So we sold ahead of time. Before the season opened last year, September, we had sold most of our cocoa forward. And we sold it at an average price of $2,600. And then by April last year, price of cocoa zoomed over $3,000 and continued zooming up. Meanwhile, we entered the year when it came to the point that we should deliver the cocoa, and Nino had destroyed everything. So you had no cocoa to go and deliver. Meanwhile, you sold the cocoa at $2,600. They need the cocoa. The buyer needs his cocoa, but you don't have any cocoa. And when you have it, you cannot go and then deliver the cocoa at $10,000. The buyer will not, accept that. You have to deliver the cocoa at $2,600. So when we opened the season, the producer price of cocoa was, in dollar equivalent, was $1,821. That's how we started the season. $1,821 per ton. Cote d'Ivoire was less than $1,700 per ton. We were higher than Cote d'Ivoire. That's how we started the season. Then the season continued, and around April this year, we are still in the same crop season. We haven't moved out of it yet. We are still in the same crop season. That the cocoa had been sold forward at $2,600. But in April this year, we were forced to adjust the farmer's price to $2,509 per ton. We've received, we sold the cocoa at $2,600, but we were forced to adjust because of the rate at which smuggling was going. Now, let me tell you, in Burkina Faso, we have some Russians there. Guinea, is it Guinea-Bissau or sharing border of Cote d'Ivoire? We have some Russians there. And then in Togo. And they want to buy the cocoa spot. They sell spot. They have nothing to lose. They don't spray, they don't buy chemicals for farmers. They are not providing any extension services for farmers, nothing. So they can afford to sell spot. When they get the cocoa, they go to the market, they can sell at $10,000.
And our farmers are selling to them?
It's not our farmers. We have, national wreckers in this country who are buying from the farmers. No farmer can smuggle more than 100 bags, not even 10, 20 bags across the border. No farmer. Because ordinarily a farmer will have about 10 bags.
These nation wreckers who are...
We've been arresting them. Some have been imprisoned. And the minimum distance is 5 years. 5 years, but still they're there. The minimum sentence is 5
So if you're selling, so if you're giving the farmer 2,500,
that is 96.5%.
That was and you're giving the cedi equivalent in April.
Yes.
The cedi is depreciated further.
Yes.
What percentage would that be now?
Well, I cannot. Maybe we can do the mathematics now.
Do the mathematics, yes, because the cedi is depreciated.
But at that point, we came public to say that we're giving the farmer 96. But still,
I'll let my guys check
if you sell cocoa, and then you pay the farmer almost everything. You are giving the farmer almost everything.
So what becomes...
What then is left? The buyer's margin, the haulage margin. COCOBOD.
So this year you are making losses.
This is from October to, September. It's not from April to September.
So April to September.
April to September. That is when we are migrating, transitioning from the main crop to the lack crop. The volumes are not that much.
Okay.
And we felt instead of letting our farmers suffer, because again, the national interest versus public interest comes in. Let them no, please wait. The point is that you have people coming to buy cocoa cheaply. But the price had prevailed around $1,800, and also, mind you, the cedi was depreciating. $1,800 from September, and then you come to April, you are selling the cocoa at the same price, and these miscreants, they come in, buy the cocoa cheaply from the farmers, go and sell at very, very high prices across the border to, these black market people. They are black marketing cocoa. For them to go and then make money out of that. So if we said, no, let's adjust it. Say that if you want to buy, then it will not be the equivalent of $1,800. You buy it from the farmer at $2,500, just to make sure that we sustain the industry till September comes. September, the new price, because we've sold forward from last year, so it is going to reflect.
Okay.
Before that, the ICCO is quoted as saying that Ghana's regulator, COCOBOD, you've cut for 2023-2024 production forecast to just 650,000, between 650,000 and 700,000 metric tons. And of course, it says that you blamed smuggling and bad weather for it. It added that there are reports that the ICCO is quoting the COCOBOD, that some Ghanaian farmers now say they can't fulfill contracts for a second straight season. True.
Contracts, because in Ghana it's only maybe it's a wrong quotation, because we don't not have any private. Cocoa is sold by cocoa marketing company in Ghana. We don't.
But you gave them the projection of 650,000 to 700,000.
That was the original destiny, yes.
But has it been further reviewed downwards?
Now, yes, we reviewed downwards. Looking at the effect of El Nino.
Okay, but they say it's the same El Nino that you gave us your reason, plus the smuggling.
Yes.
And you brought it to the
700,000. And of course, you have the effect of galamsey. Galamsey and all these things, they play not too much, effect on the crop that we are making around this time. I mean, 2023, 2024 has been hugely affected by El Nino.
Okay.
Yes, El Nino.
All right.
Okay. Just by way of clarification, what's your administrative cost per ton?
Oh, it's I think I have the figure somewhere. Currently is less than 3%. It used to be around 6%. But currently, let me see if I have the figure so that I quote the right.
Yes, please check that on for me. And while you check that for me also, I mean,
yes, COCOBOD and divisions for 2023-2024 is 2.5%.
Because the state ownership report indicated a high cost of administrative expense in 2021.
You can look at
it. No, I'm just saying in 2021 as part of the
2021.
Reason,
but I'm talking about 2023.
So now it's gone down.
Yes,
from the 6% to the 2.5%.
Yes. As also mentioned, that it used to be around 6%.
Okay.
But now it's 2.5%.
Okay. I'm just looking at your objectives. I mean, we need to be wrapping up.
Right.
I'm told that I have 4 minutes to go. So I'm just looking at your objectives. Initiate programs aimed at controlling pest and disease of cocoa, coffee, and shea nut. Undertake and encourage the processing of cocoa, coffee, shea nut, and cocoa waste with the aim of adding value for export and local consumption. The second one.
And they take
And
also
encourage
yes,
the processing of cocoa, coffee, shea nut, and cocoa waste with the aim of adding value. Let me underline the adding value for export and local consumption. What's happening to that?
We've done a lot. Processing was around 25% before this administration took office. I mean, the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration took office, and I think his priority objective was to move Ghana from the Georgesburg economy to value addition economy. So his target was 50% processing. Now we are around 40% processing. 40% processing. Now consumption was also 0.5 kilos. I don't think today you've taken any cocoa. I don't know whether you're going to
I
take
took
cocoa.
natural cocoa today. I take it every morning.
But
so every day you see me,
if you have followed, what COCOBOD is doing, we've been promoting consumption a lot. And now Ghana, I think on the African continent, we are now amongst the top, consuming countries. We are now 1 kilo. Per capita, But that one, we've doubled, but it's still very low.
Yeah, because the cocoa producers actually complain.
Now,
those who process are complaining that they are not getting the cocoa this year.
Oh, but I think I've explained.
You've explained now. Yeah, so that one, we agree. This year they are not getting it. So that could be a problem. But, I mean, I just want us to do something.
Now, the other processing. The other processing. COCOBOD, we've been able to convert shea butter into biodiesel. And this has been done at Creek. They are polishing it up.
The Cocoa Research Institute.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana. Okay. Yeah, we've been able to convert the shea butter, because that is part of our destiny. Shea butter into biodiesel. Which will be a renewable energy.
Commercial use.
Yeah, for commercial use. So we are working on that so that it can be commercialized. And I'm sure when that is done, and the shea tree used to have about 30, 40 years gestation period, reduce it to 14. Today it's around 3 years. That one too, we are polishing the edges so that shea can be cultivated on commercial basis in the north to change the whole economy of the north. And once they are producing at that large scale and in that productive way, you will need to add value, not just as butter for the cosmetic industry, but as a diesel, that's biofuel, which is very, very significant. So we are really we've introduced a lot of innovations and
I need to ask you this before we wrap it up. The cocoa bills.
Yes,
you took money from people to buy cocoa.
Yes,
they've undergone some haircuts. You're making enough money to ensure that they don't suffer further ones.
You mean the cocoa bills or buy?
To
buy
bills.
cocoa, yes.
The cocoa bills that you used to buy cocoa.
Yes, and it's been restructured. It's been restructured, yes. And now, and that's how come we are now seeing the turnaround of COCOBOD, because the cost of managing these bills were very high, and the after the restructuring, the 7.3 billion had been, structured in such a way that COCOBOD is paying. Yes, so we are on course.
So you're indicating that that's contributes to your profits of 2023.
Once the cost of because we used to pay interest over it came to a point we were paying interest over 30%. Now it's around 12.5%, which is more manageable.
Okay.
Yes.
The El Nino effect gone, or still lingering?
El Nino effect is gone.
It's gone
now. They are projecting to affect the next crop season.
Suddenly, next crop season, we are going to see a fantastic result.
Really?
You call any farmer. The flowers are there. The rains, you can see the rains. Everything is normalizing.
Okay.
And already we've seen a turnaround. COCOBOD had made profit, and major transformation is coming.
Are we back to 1 million, what they call metric tons?
No, 1 million would be too much of, should I say, being optimistic. But the point is that...
Yeah, but because that's what we see as a sign of recovery.
No. The 1 million we had, it didn't just come overnight.
Yes, but we want we want to get back to our best.
The normal distance is 800.
So are we getting back to 800,000?
Yes, we are going to go back to 800,000 metric tons.
Who hold you accountable?
No, that's one. Yeah, you can put a bet on it.
Joseph Boahen Aidoo, CEO of Ghana COCOBOD. Thank you very, very much for joining us here on the Super Morning Show.